Wong Han, leaning forward with a confident grin as the wind whips past his face. Just as he leans into a turn, his pocket buzzes. He curses under his breath, yanks out the phone one-handed and presses it to his ear. He says casually, Wong Han speaking. On the other end, a woman's trembling voice cuts through the noise. "I'm expecting your child." Han nearly loses his grip on the handlebar. His eyes widen, then narrow. He scoffs, lips curling in disbelief. "Yeah, right. Try that scam on someone else." He hangs up, shoves the phone away, and shakes his head with a smirk. Some prankster. Without sparing the call another thought, he shifts gears and opens the throttle. His bike screams forward, slicing through traffic with perfect precision. Every lean, every swerve shows his skill. Cars honk, pedestrians gape, but Han doesn't miss a beat. Moments later, he screeches to a halt in front of the delivery shop. He runs a hand through his messy black hair and strolls inside, cool as ever. But something catches his ear. Whispers. Han asks, glancing at his co-worker, a chubby fellow who always has gossip ready. "What's that about?" The man leans in, eyes wide, saying, "You haven't heard? The Su family's daughter is marrying the son of the richest man in town. And get this," he waves his phone, saying, "her fiancé, ugly, real piece of work." Han frowns, but casually snatches the phone from him. The moment his eyes land on the girl's photo, his chest tightens. Her face, familiar, too familiar. His hand trembles slightly as the memory crashes in. That night, that hotel. Flashback, 1 month ago. The hallway smelled of expensive perfume and alcohol. A young woman staggered along, her hand clutching the wall. Her head spun, vision blurring. She whispered almost to herself, "What's happening to me? Did someone spike my drink?" She fumbled with the room numbers, mistaking one door for another. The door was ajar. Confused, she thought, "Did I forget to lock it?" She pushed inside. Meanwhile, Han sat slumped in a bed, a bottle half empty at his side. His sharp eyes dimmed with frustration. He muttered, "My aura's too strong. That's what they say. Too intense. So here I am, back to being a delivery driver." His self-loathing was interrupted when the door creaked open. A young woman stumbled in, collapsing onto his bed. Han froze, mouth falling open. She was breathtaking, even in her disheveled state. Her voice was weak, pleading. Who are you? Please, help me. I don't feel well." Han's heart pounded in his chest. His face flushed red as she inched closer, eyes clouded with desperation. She whispered again, "Help me." His fists clenched the bedsheet so tightly, his knuckles turned white. He thought, is this real or just a dream? The memory dissolves, leaving Han staring blankly at the phone screen. His co-worker waves a hand in front of him, saying, "Earth to Han. What's with that look? Don't tell me you're making up another story." The shop bursts into laughter, saying, "Yeah, right, Han. Next you'll say you're an arms dealer again, or that you're secretly a billionaire's kid." Han smirks, lights a cigarette, and blows smoke lazily into the air. He mutters, "You guys wouldn't understand." The chubby co-worker shakes his head, saying, "Your lies are getting more ridiculous by the day, man." But then, the sound of an engine turns every head. Outside, a gleaming red sports car pulls up, so polished it reflects the entire street. The delivery boy's jaws drop. The door opens. A slender leg in a high heel steps out, followed by the rest of her, and there she is. The Su family's heiress. Radiant, fierce, beautiful enough to steal the air from everyone's lungs. The guys practically have hearts in their eyes, saying, "Holy crap, it's really her. What's she doing here?" Ignoring all of them, she strides straight toward Wong Han, her eyes locked on him like a hawk. The delivery boys gasp. She knows him?" He asks coolly. "What's up?" Her voice is sharp, unflinching. "Why didn't you answer my calls?" The place falls silent. Han tilts his head, smirking. "Oh, those calls? Didn't seem worth my time." Her eyes narrow. She crosses her arms, saying, "I'm expecting a child, Wong Han, and it's yours." The words crash like thunder. The co-workers erupt. "What? His baby? No way!" Han stiffens, his mask of calm cracking. He stares at her, eyes narrowing, inquiring, "Are you absolutely sure? You've got the right guy?" She steps closer, her gaze unwavering, saying, "Come with me to the hospital, now. You'll see for yourself," his co-workers shout, half teasing, half panicked, saying, "Don't just stand there, man. Go." Han sighs, runs a hand through his hair, and mutters, "Cover for me with the manager." Then, without hesitation, he follows her to the car. The sports car peels out of the lot, engines roaring as the city blurs past. Inside, the atmosphere is thick with tension. Han leans back, crossing his arms, asking, "You really think I'll buy this? You'd make up something this serious?" Her hands grip the wheel, knuckles pale, saying, "You think I'd joke about this? About that night?" For a moment, silence. Then Han's voice drops, steady, serious. serious. If the child is mine, I'll take responsibility for both of you. Her eyes flicked toward him, sharp with disbelief, inquiring, on a delivery driver's salary? How exactly do you plan to do that? Hans smirks, gaze fixed out the window, saying, an honest living is more than enough. She slams on the brakes. Hans' forehead smacks the windshield. He groans, clutching his head. Are you insane? She turns, voice cold as ice. You don't get it. This isn't just about you and me. This is the Sue family we're talking about. Minutes later, the car glides to a stop in front of a towering hospital. She steps out gracefully, not sparing him a glance. He follows, rubbing his forehead, muttering under his breath. Inside, the sterile scent of medicine hangs in the air. They walk in silence until they stop before a set of double doors. The sign above reads, surgery room. Han blinks in confusion, inquiring, wait, why here? What are we doing in front of a surgery room? Suki, the Sue family heiress, stood with her hand on the door, her face pale but resolved. She whispered, her voice trembling yet firm. I'm going in! Wong Han froze, eyes widening in shock. He grabbed her arm, his grip desperate, his voice raw. What? You're serious? You can't mean that. Tell me you're not going through with this. Her gaze flickered toward him, a mixture of sadness and defiance, saying, you can't possibly support me or the child. Not with your life, not with your salary. Han clenched his fists, his voice ringing with stubborn fire. Money's nothing to me. If it's mine, I'll take responsibility, no matter what it costs. Before he could say more, a nurse in pale scrubs appeared, clipboard in hand, saying, Miss Suki, it's time. Please come in for the procedure. Han's heart hammered in his chest. He caught her shoulder, his eyes begging. Wait, think about this, please. But she slipped from his grasp, her expression hardening. Without another word, she pushed open the doors and stepped inside, leaving him alone in the hallway. Han stood frozen, powerless, his hands trembling. He leaned against the wall, his jaw clenched so tightly it hurt. For once, he had no strength to change the course of things. Inside the operating room, Suki lay on the gurney, her silk dress exchanged for a cold, sterile gown. Her long lashes fluttered as she stared at the blinding white lights above. Her eyes shimmered with unspoken fear. A doctor approached with a syringe, his tone calm and professional. Don't worry, Miss Sue. It'll all be over soon. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She swallowed hard, then forced herself to close her eyes, saying to herself, this is what has to be done, right? But just as the needle neared her arm, her hand shot up. She blurted, her voice cracking. A spark of determination lit her gaze. Wait, just wait a moment. Outside, Han sat with his head bowed, chains of resignation wrapping around his heart, saying, if she doesn't want the baby, I can't stop her. But then, the door swung open. Han lifted his head, eyes widening in disbelief. Suki stood there, pale but upright, her gown replaced once more by her clothes. He rushed forward, panic and relief colliding in his voice. Suki, are you all right? How are you feeling? She gave him a faint smile, though exhaustion tugged at her every movement. I'm a little tired. Drive me home, Wong Han. In my car, Han's chest swelled with relief. He grinned, thumping his chest. Drive? Ah, I can fly anything. Fighter jet, submarine, you name it. A car's nothing. Rolling her eyes, but too tired to argue, she handed him the keys. The red sports car growled to life, and soon they were speeding through the glowing streets of the city. Neon lights reflected off the windshield as they entered an elegant neighborhood lined with towering mansions. Han's phone rang. He pressed it to his ear without hesitation. Yeah? Who is this? A cold voice crackled through the line. There's an event. An important president. We'll follow your orders. Han's expression flickered, but he said nothing more and hung up. Moments later, they pulled up before a sprawling estate, its gates taller than most buildings. Han whistled under his breath, saying, well, we're here. He turned toward her and instantly noticed her lips were pale, her body swaying slightly. He said, Suki, you don't look good. I'll walk you to the door. She shook her head firmly, saying, no, my family can't see you. Just leave. But Han frowned, leaning closer. You're weak. I'm not letting you stumble in there alone. She snapped back, her pride flaring, saying, stay out of my business. With that, she stepped out, her heels clicking sharply against the stone path. Han sighed, rubbing his temples, then raised a hand in a lazy wave, saying, fine, suit yourself. But as she walked away, fate played its cruel trick. Her heel twisted on a patch of uneven ground. She gasped, her body lurching forward. Han's eyes sharpened. In the blink of an eye, he dashed across the driveway, his body moving before his mind could. Just as she was about to hit the ground, strong arms caught her mid-fall. He muttered, holding her against his chest. Clumsy. Her cheeks flushed red, her eyes snapped snapping up at him, inquiring, What did you just say? He smirked and said, You heard me, clumsy. Her grip tightened on his jacket, and she pinched his arm hard enough to make him wince. He said, Ah, that hurt, but he only chuckled, shifting his hold until he was carrying her princess style, saying, Guess I'll just carry you in. That pinch was way too strong anyway. She protested, squirming, but her words held no real force. Deep down, she allowed herself to lean against him. Inside the grand Sioux family mansion, the marble floors gleamed, chandeliers casting golden light across the vast hall. Han gently set her down on a velvet couch and knelt in front of her. He ordered, carefully taking her ankle in his hands. Stop moving. You'll make it worse. Her lips tightened in annoyance. I don't need your help. He shot her a grin without looking up, saying, And yet, here you are. Suddenly, the sharp rhythm of heels echoed through the hall. The door swung open. Two figures stepped inside. Suki and Han both froze. It was her mother, elegant, sharp-eyed, and her mother's closest friend. Their gazes locked on the scene before them. The delivery boy crouched before the Sioux family heiress, hands on her ankle. Her mother's voice thundered. Suki, what is going on here? Han scrambled to his feet, clearing his throat, saying, She twisted her ankle. I was just... But before he could finish, Suki cut him off, her tone flat, her face unreadable. He's my boyfriend. He came to help me. Han's jaw dropped. Inquiring boyfriend? Her mother's face turned crimson with outrage. She jabbed a finger at Han, her voice trembling with fury. What? This delivery boy? Tell me this is a joke. Suki's eyes hardened, but after a long silence, she sighed and said, It was just a joke. He only helped with my ankle. Her mother's voice cracked like a whip, saying, Don't forget, you're marrying into the Kun family. There is no room for mistakes. Han's eyes flashed. He demanded, his voice cutting through the air. What's wrong with being a delivery driver? Her mother sneered. You're a nobody. Keep dreaming if you think you'll ever be with my daughter. Han's fists clenched, his face burning with fury. But before he could explode, Suki shot him a warning look, saying, Thank you, Wong Han. Please, go now. He bit his lip, fighting back words, then turned and walked out. From the corner of the room, the mother's friend watched him leave, her eyes narrowing in curiosity. Later, in the quiet of Suki's bedroom, the friend closed the door behind her. She turned to Suki, arms folded, saying, You might fool your mother, but not me. I saw the way you looked at him. What's your relationship with that delivery driver? Suki's serious expression never wavered. She lowered her gaze, then spoke in a low voice. I'm pregnant, and the child is his. The friend gasped, covering her mouth, inquiring, You're serious? With him? But why? Suki's voice softened, laced with regret. I was drunk. It was an accident, but the truth remains. Her friend trembled, shaking her head, asking, What about the Kun family? What will you do? Suki looked out the window, her eyes glowing with quiet resolve, saying, I've already decided. I'm keeping this baby. At this, the friend freaks out and yells that she's completely lost her mind. The young woman then explains that she talked to the guy, and he promised he would take full responsibility. The friend reminds her that she's from the Sioux family, and that the delivery driver has nothing to offer. She says she'll handle this herself and asks why her friend came back. The young woman explains that her grandfather came for an event, and she just came with him. Suki's friend gets an idea. She tells Suki that she's had an idea. She suggests the young woman claimed the delivery driver forced himself on her, but she thinks the idea is horrible. The scene then changes, and we see our protagonist walking alone through the streets of the neighborhood. Our young man complains that there are no taxes in this fancy area. As a black car approaches, the vehicle then pulls up right next to our boy, who eyes the situation. Our guy gets a little suspicious of the car's sudden approach. An old man in a suit gets out of the car and greets our young man as Wong Master just watches. The old man then explains that he's there to take him to the evening's auction event. Our young man remembers his grandfather had mentioned that event. He says he needs a shower and some new clothes before going to the fancy party. The black limousine speeds off through the city streets. A little while later, they arrive at a banquet hall crowded with rich and important people. Now dressed in an elegant suit, our boy is impressed by the number of people there. Sudden, a familiar voice calls his name, and he turns to see who it is. To his surprise, it's Suki's friend who recognizes our boy. She questions him and asks if by any chance he's also working as a waiter. Our young man tries to say no, but the girl doesn't let him speak. Losing her patience, the young woman grabs the sleeve of our protagonist's suit. She then drags him to a more private corner so they can talk alone. The girl warns him that Suki is her best friend and threatens him if he doesn't step up for the baby. Our boy is shocked because he thought Sue had terminated the pregnancy. The friend and yells that she decided to keep the baby, and our young man is stunned. He then wonders if she really didn't go through with the procedure at the hospital yesterday. Angrily, the young woman threatens him again, saying she'll make him regret it if he tries to run. To show she's serious, she stomps on his foot with her high heel. Our protagonist yells in pain as the young woman walks away. At that moment, a man on stage announces that the auction event is about to begin. Our boy thinks he needs to wrap things up here quickly so he can go find her and figure out what's going on. A woman in a suit and glasses approaches and greets him as Wong Master. She introduces herself as his assistant, Lu Yu, and says she was sent by President Lin. Our young man says the auction is about to start and tells her to come with him to the main hall. However, someone suddenly enters the hall, causing a commotion. Up at the front, an extra announces that the night's project has already been claimed by the Cune family. The man twirls his mustache with a smirk and asks everyone to show some respect. He introduces himself as Kunlei of the Cune family and threatens anyone who doesn't cooperate. Our guy asks who the man is, and the assistant explains that he's his biggest rival of the night. Our guy scoffs and asks if that guy thinks he can compete with him, but the assistant explains the Chun family's plan. He then remembers his co-worker talking trash about Suki's fine and realizes he's from that family. With a serious look, our young man finally understands the whole situation. On stage, the auctioneer announces the bidding for Lot 53, the project everyone wants. Without wasting a second, Kunlei raises his paddle and offers $5 billion for the major project. The guests are shocked by the high bid and comment that no one would dare challenge the Cunes, but our protagonist calmly raises his paddle and offers $6 billion. The crowd panics, wondering who the crazy person is who just challenged the Cune family like that. Everyone whispers that the guy has a death wish and that the Chins won't let this insult slide. Annoyed by our boy's audacity, Kunlei becomes furious. He stands up enraged and shouts, asking who our young man is and if he's looking for a fight. The rival stands up with his goons and yells that in this city, his family calls the shots. He then grabs our guy by the collar and says, no one takes what they want. The man then offers $900 million and threatens our boy if he continues. Our young man just lets out a mocking laugh, completely ignoring his rival's threat. With a confident smirk, he raises his paddle and offers $1 billion for the project. The rival loses his mind and lunges at our guy, trying to throw a punch. But our boy is faster and lands a solid punch right in the man's face. The impact sends the rival flying backward, and our young man asks if that's all he's got. All the goons rush to attack our boy while their boss is already down. Without wasting time, he throws a chair at them. One of them realized it wasn't a good idea to mess with our boy. In a quick and precise move, he takes down another one of the goons. Lying on the floor, the rival screams in fury, asking if our guy really wants to get taken out. Our boy then turns to his rival and confirms that he's the one who's about to get a beatdown. Our young man then leaps toward the rival, who screams in desperation on the floor. With a powerful blow, he hits the rival square on, and a loud bang icks through the hall. And just like that, the rival is completely knocked out on the floor. After the fight, our young man turns to the audience and asks if anyone else is going to bid. Auctioneer, completely terrified, stammers that there are no more bids. Our boy then tells his assistant to handle the paperwork because he has urgent business to attend to. She's in a luxurious room, talking with an old man who is sitting on the sofa. The young woman asks her grandfather why he called her in such a hurry that she missed the auction. With a serious look, the grandfather tells her not to say anything foolish when the person arrives because he doesn't know her. The young woman then wonders what kind of important person would make her grandfather act so cautiously. A man in a suit informs them that the auction is over, but the Cune family didn't win the project. Surprised, the young woman can't believe they lost and wonders who dared to stand up to them. Then her grandfather says the person they were waiting for has arrived, and the young woman thinks he's very arrogant. She tells her grandfather she's stepping out to make a call to her friend Nanan. Walking down the hall, she thinks that the Cune family won't be able to cooperate with the sus for a while. Distracted by her phone, the young woman ends up bumping right into our protagonist's chest. She yells at our young man and calls him a stinky delivery boy, asking why it's him again. But she ignores him and walks away while calling her friend to tell her she has important news. At that moment, the young woman's grandfather stands up and greets our young man who has just arrived. Our boy says he's already handled his business and asks who the woman from earlier was. The old man introduces her as his granddaughter and says she greatly admires admires the young master and wanted to meet him. The man explains that the marriage alliance between the Chuns and the Sus will be postponed because of our guy's intervention. Our young man gets curious and asks about Suki's life and if she's ever had any boyfriends. The old man replies that the Su family is strict and that the young woman has never had a boyfriend. With a smile, our young man finally understands everything, but suddenly his phone rings. He notices a call from Su. He answers and the young woman says she wants to see him, so our boy agrees to meet her. Our guy says goodbye to the old man, but the old man tries to bring up his granddaughter again, but he says some other time. She's sitting on a park bench, reflecting with a sad expression. The young woman seems to be deep and thought about her situation. Soon after, our protagonist arrives on his motorcycle at the arranged spot. He stops behind her after seeing that she was sitting down. Our boy sits down next to her and tells her not to worry because he'll support her. She then looks at him and asks if he really has the means to support them. With a confident look, our young man hugs her and asks why he wouldn't. The young woman points to the expensive watch on his wrist and asks if he knows how much it costs. Our guy identifies the model and the exact price of the watch. She then questions how many years he'd have to work as a delivery driver to buy one. He reassures her, saying that money is no issue and she can have the baby in peace. Suddenly, her phone rings again, interrupting their moment. It's her mother on the line. It's telling her to come back because her fiancé is waiting to talk about the wedding. The young woman then asks our young man to take her home, and he agrees with a smile. Our boy points to his motorcycle and tells her to hop on so they can go. Speeding through the streets, the two cut through traffic. She leans against our guy's back and closes her eyes, enjoying the moment. They continue their journey at high speed through the bustling city streets. Arriving at the mansion, our boy parks the motorcycle and walks the young woman to the door. At the entrance, the young woman tells her mother she's arrived while our young man stands beside her. Her mother appears, furious, asking where she's been because her fiancé was waiting.